everyone, my name is Laura. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not, welcome back. Thanks for clicking on this video. So today I'm going to give you a tour of my porch. That's where I am right now. It is a 3-season porch and I have probably about 100 plants out here, so buckle up. I bring my plants out here like mid-spring once it's consistently like 50 to 55 degrees outside, and keep them out here until about like mid-September to mid-October. Again, once it starts dipping below 50 to 55 degrees outside. Since it is a covered porch, it's a 3-season porch, it does stay about 10 degrees warmer here than it is outside. And it's also about 10 to 15% more humid than it is outside. So my plants love it. I don't, but my plants do. And that's all that matters, you know? That's all that matters at the end of the day. So let's get into the plant tour. Okay, I'm gonna try to orient you. I don't know if this is gonna be helpful or not at all, but this is a west-facing window. This whole front here faces south, and then that back there is an east-facing window. And the north side of the porch, like right here, that's my house. Like that's inside the house. So that might give you an idea of the kind of light that these plants are getting. First, we'll look up here. I have this little shelf hanger thing. I keep just like all my crap on it, dog leashes, jackets, whatever. And up here, I have my Hoya Royal Hawaiian Purple. So there it is. My rickrack cactus, and then my peperomia, I think it's called Silver Frost, if I'm not wrong. My Hoya, absolutely love it out here, so you'll see a lot of Hoya as this video continues. That's where these 3 little guys are. Alright, we'll start over on this west side of the porch, on this window. The first plant on this windowsill is my Alocasia Black Velvet. I'm so sorry if you can hear my dogs barking. I tried to get them to stop, but they don't listen. They don't want to listen, so they may be talking in the background a little bit. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you might know that this Alocasia used to be in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. Then I took it out a few months ago and now it's on my porch and it's been doing really well. It's putting out like really big leaves, has some nice beautiful growth, and there's a new little leaf coming in. So it's doing awesome. Next to that is a Hoya Macrophylla albomarginata. Again, I know that this has a new name like every 2 days, but I never remember it, and everyone always tells me, everyone always reminds me, but I never do, so that's what I'm gonna call it. It is putting out so much new growth. Like, look, every vine has little baby leaves on it. And it's sitting on this hoop trellis. I built a bunch of hoop trellises for my Hoya, and they seem to really be loving it. So that is my Hoya Macrophylla albomarginata. Next to that, in this little deli dish, are some of my little pinguicula. These were teeny tiny when I got them. They were honestly all probably the size of this teeny guy, and they've all grown a ton. You can see this one has just been eaten. Look at all the bugs that are on that guy. So I love pinguicula. I talked a ton about it in my last video, so if you want more information, go watch that. And if you want a whole pinguicula video, I have like 20 pinguicula. I would love to do it if y'all are interested, so let me know and I will do a pinguicula video. But yes, pinguicula are the best. These sit here and they keep my porch bug free, which is fantastic. To the left of the pinguicula is my Alocasia Maharani. Basically ditto to everything I said about the black velvet. Used to be in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, moved it out a couple months ago, and now it's been here on my porch. It's been doing fantastic, honestly. This is probably the Alocasia that's been doing the best out here. It's holding on to so many leaves. So right now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves, and it's putting out another one. And it has little babies that are growing all over the place. Like, it's spitting out corms and little babies. Look at that. So cool. And it's not dropping any of the leaves. So it's like holding on to a ton of leaves. It just looks fantastic. Just looks fantastic. It's doing so great. I love it. To the left of that, a little obstructed by the Alocasia Maharani, is a Hoya, oh, I always pronounce this wrong, Agalorium red. It has very cool flowers. I got this as a little seedling and it has really popped off. It had like maybe 3 or 4 leaves when I got it. And now it has so many more than 3 or 4. It is just doing fantastic. I'm very excited for this little guy to keep growing. And the last plant on this chunk of the windowsill over here is my Alocasia Miculatiana, also known as Alocasia Fryedeck. This guy's doing all right out here on the porch. It's not holding on to many leaves. It just dropped one, and I thought it was just like dropping it for fun, but it looks like we have a new leaf coming in, so maybe that's why it was dropping it. It's kind of leggy. It's getting a good amount of light, so I'm not sure why it would be so leggy. Like, the petioles are so long. If you have any idea why that might be, let me know, and I will change the care a little bit because I want it to look a little bit better than that. It's looking not so great, but it's doing well, so I don't know. Moving over to the next window is my fiddle leaf fig. This guy was doing great, actually. Like, he actually was doing really well, and then I went on vacation and I didn't water him right before I left for vacation because he didn't quite need water yet. And then while I was gone, it got really hot, and when I came home, it was literally like laying down. It was like parallel to the windowsill. So it's been perking up a little bit. I watered it. It hasn't lost any foliage, which I'm really surprised by, but yeah, it's seen better days. It really has, but it's starting to put out some big leaves. So I don't know. This guy and I don't know. We haven't been best friends ever. We haven't really been good friends ever, but we've coexisted. So we're gonna keep doing that. Next to that, I have my two bear paw succulents. On the left is my regular green one. On the right is my variegated one. I suck at keeping succulents alive, and so they look like I suck at keeping them alive because I do. That's that. That's it. That's all I have for those two. On the left here is my Alocasia dragon scale. I know I said my Maharani was doing the best, but honestly, I think my dragon scale might be also doing the best. It is putting out a ton of new leaves, ton of new foliage. It is killing off this older leaf though, so but it does look great. It's looking really good. To the left of that, I have some sort of euphorbia, unknown euphorbia. It's hanging out. It's doing something. And the last one on this windowsill is my Hoya shooting star. It did have a peduncle right here. You can kind of see that little spot where it was. And it did drop it, but it did give me another peduncle like quite quickly after, and it's gonna bloom. So I'm not too upset. Would have been cool to have two peduncles on this guy, but that's okay. I lost a lot of peduncles when I was on vacation and it got really hot and I wasn't here to water my plants. Same vacation that my fiddle leaf fig almost died during, so kind of a bummer because losing peduncles is a bummer because it takes forever to get a peduncle, but it is what it is. It's fine. I'll get more peduncles. It'll be okay. But yes, that is my Hoya shooting star. All right, moving you forward to this little table I have here. This is not my plant. This is my fiance's plant. It is a basil plant. I don't know anything about herbs. I can't keep herbs alive, so this is his basil plant that he uses for cooking things that taste good. On the left here is my Philodendron fuzzy petiole. This is the newest leaf, and it is so pillowy and massive and beautiful. And look at that fuzzy petiole. Oh my goodness. It is just a fuzz fest. Look at that. Love it. I love it. This is the one that I showed you when I did my Home Depot plant inventory tour and haul. So it has grown a ton. It's been doing really great. And behind that, like, believe it or not, you probably aren't going to believe it because I don't even believe it, is my Hoya fungii. It is going bananagrams. Like, it is growing so much, so many new leaves all over the place, and they're pretty darn massive, which is so exciting. Look at all these little baby leaves. They're so cute. They're so cute. But yeah, it's doing great. It's another one that I got a little hoop trellis for it. Well, I made a little hoop trellis for it. That's why it looks a little oblong, but it's been working. It's been working. Now let's move up to the tops of the windowsills. On the left here, I have a Tradescantia. This is my Tradescantia corner. I don't usually keep Tradescantia, but all of these were gifts that I got, like cuttings, and so I just grew them out, and they all started from one tiny cutting, if you can believe it. If you own Tradescantia, you definitely can believe it because they're like the weeds of houseplants. They grow so insanely fast. So on the left here, I have like the white and green variegated one. In the middle, I have the Nanook. It's like completely facing the window, so it's kind of hard to see, but I don't want to pull it down. And then here I have the like really fuzzy one. Let's see if I can get a better shot of it. There you go. You can't see the fuzzes because they're like really fine, but it's like the baby bunny bellies one or whatever. So yeah, that is my Tridescantia corner. Above that, I have, oh, the holy backlighting. I apologize. Is that better? That might be better. I have a Ascananthus or lipstick plant. I forget which variety this is. One of y'all told me in one of my last videos, but it's the one with like the little leaves and it's like kind of fuzzy. But yeah, that is a lipstick plant or Ascananthus. And down below here, I have a Hoya gracilis, just a little baby in a little baby pot being obstructed by the lipstick plant. This camera work is just like a C-. I apologize. And on the left of that is my Hoya Sunrise. And let me pull this down because I need to talk about this one and I need tips from y'all who have Hoya Sunrises. So, oh, the lighting, SOS. Okay, is that better? That's better. Okay, I put it in a west-facing window because I wanted it to sunstress, because if you own or know of Hoya Sunrises, they sunstress really beautifully, and mine burned. Look at that. I put it in a west-facing window, and it used to be right under a grow light, so I didn't think it was that big of like a light change. The corner of this leaf went ahead and sunstressed a little bit, so boo. And this new leaf, ooh, I did not mean to zoom in. Hold on. How do I zoom out? I don't even know how to use technology. There we go. This leaf came in kind of sunstressed, but kind of bleached as well. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, y'all. It is just like not looking super great. And I just want it to sunstress. How do I get it to sunstress without it like doing this? Because that's just sad. Help, please. That is my Hoya Sunrise. Also on a little hoop trellis that I made. All right, moving to the left of that, I have my like string of nickels, question mark, string of coins. I forget what this is called. This has not grown for me. I've had it since maybe January and it has not put out a single new leaf. So I was kind of excited for it and now I'm just like not excited about it. I don't know. Up here is my Hoya parasitica. It's just hanging out, also on a hoop trellis. It's been growing. All my Hoya have been growing. They're loving it. Here in this little turtle, I have my little butt plants, also known as lithops, but I call them my little butt plants. They love the sun they get over here. Here I have my Hoya PG04 or EPC319, I believe it is. She's been growing a little bit. And then I have my Hoya Wooliniana variegata. And I'm trying to get the like pink variegation back on this, but I can't, and I don't understand why. If the sun is so strong that it burned my Hoya Sunrise to a crisp, why is it not strong enough to turn this pink? I don't understand. They're literally on the same window. I don't get it. I don't get it. Next to that is my Christmas aloe, I believe is what it's called. This one's getting nice and pink and sunstressed, so very cute. Only aloe I have, but I love it. And moving you up to the top of this windowsill, hanging off of it, I have a string of hearts, the Silver Glory variety. The hearts are just like little silver butts. Let's see, focus, please, focus. There you go, silver little butts. I'm on my tiptoes, so I'm sorry if I'm like shaking. But yeah, very cute little plant. And then next to that, I have the like curly lipstick plant. Oh, and you can see the little bird nest outside, little robin's nest. And that is this west side of the porch. Sweet. Now we will move over to the south facing side of the porch, which is where the majority of the plants are. We'll start in just like hospital corner over here. Over here, I have a Gloriosum. It is pretty stinking beautiful. I'm not gonna touch it because it is infested with spider mites, because of course it is, you know, of course it is. I got this from someone who told me like, oh, it had spider mites like 2 years ago. Don't even worry. Like, I haven't seen spider mites on it in like 75 years. This is an exaggeration, but she told me there's no spider mites on it. And I was gonna put systemic in it and spray it down with Captain Jack's anyways, just because I like to do that when I get new plants. And so I brought it home. I was inspecting it when I was at home just infested with spider mites. So like, cool. You can see this is the newest leaf. So damaged, like so damaged. This is the only leaf that's grown like in my care. Looks beautiful. It's massive, but so wildly damaged, which is a bummer. So this is my hospital corner. And down here in hospital corner, I have a little Philodendron varicosum. I don't even think I need to say it, but it's also infested with spider mites. I also got this from the same person. She told me the same thing. Oh, it had spider mites like 35 years ago, and I haven't seen a spider mite on it in the entire time I've been alive, but it was not true. So it is in hospital corner over here. That is hospital corner. And I do keep it on my porch with all my other plants. I haven't seen spider mites on any of my other plants. I do treat them with systemic, which I'm pretty sure doesn't actually do anything for spider mites, but I do spray them down with Captain Jack's, and there's a lot of bugs on this porch that like eat spider mites. So I think that's why it's like kept all the spider mite infestation to like this corner. And I'm back. I had to go wash my hands because I touched the hospital corner of spider mites. So let's move into this windowsill. The first plant I have right here is my variegated string of hearts. It has grown a lot. It keeps falling into the pot. Hold on. Don't fall in. There we go. Variegated string of hearts. Very cute. Not a ton to say about it, but very cute. I have this little cactus, a little stone plant, or I always forget how to pronounce it. Placeapolis? I don't know. And then another one. This one's like smooth though. Look how weird it is. Like compare the two of them. The one on the right is like super bumpy, and the one on the left is like so smooth. Very cool. And it's such a pretty color. So those are my little rock plants getting all their little light. Next, I have a little container where I am propagating a bunch of variegated string of hearts so I can add them to my string of hearts pot. And to the left here, I have my Hoya carnosa that is just growing all over the place. Like, it hadn't put out a new leaf for me for so long. I put it out on this porch, and it has grown so much. It has vines everywhere. It tries to cling to everything. Like this vine, I always have to put it back over here because it tries to go over on this side and it starts vining into my other Hoya. So I did not get this one a hoop trellis, or I didn't make it a hoop trellis because I want this one to just hang. It doesn't want to, but I want it to, so I'm trying. Up above here, I have a little propagation station with some string of hearts in these two and some Hoya linearis in this one. Next to that, I have terrible backlighting. This is a euphorbia. It's like the purple variety, but the new stuff is grown in green, but I think it turns purple later. Next to that, I have a little spiny cactus, a variegated jade, and this guy. I forget what type of succulent he is, but he is a little leaf that's drying up, but a new leaf is coming in, so I think he's doing all right. Moving on to this windowsill, I have my Pilea peperomioides over here. This is another one that struggled when I was gone traveling and it got really hot with all my other plants that struggled then, and it lost a bunch of leaves, so I'm kind of sad. It's like a little bare here at the bottom now, but it's putting out babies all over the place, so like it'll be fine. It looks a little more full because the babies are at the bottom, so it's okay. It's doing great out here though. It really loves being out here. I've learned with Pilea peperomioides that they really like a lot more sun and a lot more water than you think. Because mine wasn't growing at all. It was looking really sad probably about a year ago, and then I started giving it more light and more water, and it's been doing so much better. To the left of that, I have my Hoya shepherdii. This is another one that has just loved being out here. Honestly, all my Hoya have loved being out here. Some have grown a lot more than others, but they've all loved it out here. It has grown so much. Look at all that. Look at all that growth. Look at all those little vines ready to pop some more little leaves. I really want this one to bloom. The flowers on these are so cute. Here's another big grower. This is my Hoya crinkle 8. It grew all of this since being out on the porch. all of this. Can you believe that? And I'd had it for probably almost 2 years. It had like these 5 leaves and nothing else. And it grew all of this in 2 months or so. And it's grown even more. Look at those little baby crinkly leaves. They're so precious. Next to that, I have my Hoya rosita. This is another one that got a little burned. It used to be right next to where my Hoya sunrise is, and I moved it because it started to burn, and I really didn't want this one to burn. It does have a little peduncle though. Let's see if I can get a better view of that. There you go. Little peduncle. Very excited for that to bloom. Up here I have this little succulent. This one's actually doing really well, so props to me. Next I have Hoya Heuscheliana, the variegated one. I feel like everybody's grows really fast and mine is not growing super fast. It's only given me that little itty bitty leaf. Obviously it's still gonna get bigger, that little leaf is, but it just popped. So it is still itty itty bitty. I don't know, I hope it takes off a little bit faster because I really want mine to be like big and beautiful like everybody's. Here I have Hoya Croniana Super Silver, putting out a lot of new growth. And my little key lime pie succulent, it's getting really heavy so it's tipping over, but this one's also doing really well. I've had this one for almost 2 years now. It's doing great. Moving you to the plants that I have here. They're kind of in between the 2 windows and they get a little bit less light, definitely less direct light, except they do get some light over here from the west side. So you can kind of see like this side is getting a lot of light, but anyway, it doesn't get as much direct light as the rest of the plants on the porch. So that's what I'm trying to get across here. On this side is Hoya Mayoi. This plant is just the coolest, honestly. Like, look at these leaves. This is a more mature leaf on this guy. Look at that. Just the coolest. There are 3 or 4 plants in here, and it is on a little hoop as well, like a little bamboo hoop. And I'm excited to see it keep growing because I think it's just so beautiful. So beautiful. Look at this new leaf. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love this plant so much. On my little table here, I have my Hoya lacunosa, the wide leaf variety. No peduncles yet, but that's okay. It is growing a lot. And it's also on a little hoop trellis. Next to that, I have Syngonium chia pens. This was a little cutting that I got. This is the original leaf. It's starting to kind of die off, but that's okay because it did give me a new leaf. And if you've never felt Syngonium chia pens, it's like such a weird texture. It's like rubbery almost. It really feels like a fake plant. It's very neat. Very excited for this guy. In front of the Syngonium chia pens, I don't think I've shown this plant here yet, and I don't know what took me this long, but I have my Philodendron Jose Buono. I am in love with this plant. Here's the new leaf. It is just stunning, stunning, stunning. It also has another growth point here that's putting out, oh, right there. So I will have 2 actively growing growth points on this plant, which I'm very excited about because that means more leaves potentially, and definitely a bushier plant. But Philodendron Jose Buono has been on my wish list for a very long time. The leaves come out with all of this variegation and speckling on them, and as the leaves mature and harden off, it turns more into this like lime green color, pardon the water spots on this guy, until it eventually kind of fades down to this green. And this also has a rubbery texture similar to the chia pens, but not quite the same. But it is a very rubbery textured plant. But yeah, Jose Buono. Welcome to the family, little guy. Welcome to the family. I've had him for like 2 months now, but welcome to the family because y'all hadn't met him yet. Right. And over here, I have my Hoya compacta. This one wasn't growing for a while, but it is giving me some new leaves. This one was kind of a rescue mission that I found at a big box store, but it really is starting to turn around. So I'm looking forward to this one growing more. And lastly, over here, I have my avocado trees that I've kind of neglected. So we're gonna very quickly move past that. Hanging here, I have 3 Hoya. At the very top is Hoya australis. This Hoya australis has been growing so much. It was already growing wild when it was inside, and once I brought it out here, It's been growing so wild. I don't know if you can see all the vines that are like up stuck to the ceiling. I don't know how I'm gonna get that down when I have to bring this guy inside, but that's a problem for later. It is growing a ton. Below that is Hoya linearis. It is doing really well. Also growing a ton of new Biba leaves. Look at all those Biba leaves. One thing I found with this Hoya is that it is a little bit thirstier than some of my other Hoya, and if it doesn't get a drink when it wants a drink, it starts dropping all of its little leaves, and so it gets very like sparse, almost like this little vine here. So gotta pay attention to this one, not let it dry out all the way. And then I have my Hoya lacunosa, the thin-leafed variety. This one was such a constant bloomer, and I have terrible, terrible news. It did drop the peduncle while I was on my trip. So I came home and the peduncle was on the floor. So that was such a bummer because it was starting to get little blooms on it. But yeah, it got too dry. Hoya tend to drop their peduncles when they get too dry, so that is a tip for if you want your Hoya to bloom. Don't let it get too dry, especially if it has a little active peduncle. But there wasn't a ton I could do about that. I was gone, there's no one to water it. I didn't know it was gonna get super hot, blah, blah, blah. We're moving on, and we're hoping it'll put out another peduncle because this was a very constant bloomer. It smelled very lovely, and yeah, it's a pretty mature plant though, so I'm hoping it will grow another peduncle here. Now we will move on to this windowsill. This is my Hoya australis Lisa. Same as the Hoya australis, just the variegated version. And this one's on a little hoop. I don't think it wants to be on it, so I might remove it. It like doesn't care about the hoop, so I don't know. Maybe it'll help kind of stabilize it. We'll see. To the left of that, this looks kind of sad, but this is one of my little carnivorous plants. I forget what it's called. I don't know why I'm forgetting. It used to be very large. It used to be like most of this here, but similarly to all my plants that are struggling, got too dry, blah, 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 while I was on my trip, and it all died back, and I thought it was a goner, and now it's putting out this little baby. So I'm gonna let it try to grow back. It is a carnivorous plant. The little spikes you see on the leaves, you can see that right there, they get like little droplets on the tips, and they're like sticky and attract bugs, and then when the bugs get on them, they like dissolve and get eaten. Very cool. Very cool. And it was always blooming before, but the blooms have died, so that's a bummer. But hopefully it will grow. I mean, it is. It looks like it's growing. Hopefully it'll continue to do that. To the left of that is my Philodendron Splendid. I know I showed this in my last video, I believe, and look at how much foliage is on this guy. I don't know if it's put out a ton of leaves since I last showed it, but I feel like it has. And it's looking good. It's looking really good. To the left of that guy is my Philodendron squamiferum. Here's a more mature leaf. It's putting out a ton of leaves, but none of them are very mature. I'm guessing because it just wants to climb. I have it on this like stake, but it's not a very good support. So I think I just need to get it a moss pole so that it can start giving me some more mature leaves like this one. To the left of that is my little Philodendron tortum. It gave me a new leaf, which is fantastic. I love a new leaf. And last on this section of the windowsill is my Hoya polynera. It shot out another vine, which is always so exciting. It's got like little specks on it. I think it's just getting too much sun, because it used to do that when it was getting too much sun in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, but I don't know, I don't really care. So I'm just leaving it because it is growing, it is happy. I'm just gonna let it do what it wants to do, and I'm not gonna interfere. So that is it for that section of the windowsill. Let's move up a little bit. Up here I have Hoya caudata sumatra on a trellis. This is a super fuzzy Hoya. It's a very strange looking Hoya. I really do like it. It's giving me some new leaves and some happy little vines. I hate the backlighting on here, so my apologies. Next to that, right here, I have another Hoya on a little hoop. I forget what Hoya this is. I think this might be, no, this isn't the cross with Ficii. I'll look it up and I'll put it on the screen, but this one's doing well. It hadn't grown actually since I put it out here, but it has now given me a little vine. So I was gonna say it wasn't growing, but I just saw this little vine that wasn't here last week, so it is growing. Here I have my Hoya crassipetiolata. It put out these 3 little leaves, this one, and this one back here, and they look kind of goofy, but it is growing, it looks great. It put out all 3 of those leaves over one weekend, so I love it. It's growing and I'm very excited about it. And then lastly over here I have my Hoya Rebecca. This I think I outlined in my last video as one of my favorite Hoya right now because it is blooming all over the place. The peduncles smell incredible. It is just doing so well. It has one peduncle right here. Come on, focus on the plant, not on the cars in the background. Excuse me. There you go. One peduncle right there, one peduncle up here, and it just spit out this new peduncle and it looks like it's about to bloom. Look at that. Very exciting. So Hoya Rebecca is beautiful as always. Moving on to the next windowsill, I have my Philodendron Painted Lady, and this one has been putting out such beautiful leaves since it moved out here. I put it up on a pole and it's getting a lot more light. It used to be putting out leaves like this. I really thought it had reverted, but I was like, oh well, whatever, you know, it's still pretty. All of the leaves that have come out since it's been out here on the porch have just been very, very beautiful. So I am pretty darn thrilled because I love Philodendron Painted Lady. Next is my Philodendron Florida Ghost. Yeah, it's not coming out with white leaves anymore. This is the newest leaf. It's very mature, it looks lovely, but it literally came out green. It has a little like minty speckling at the top of the lobes, but like this is a green leaf and this is the newest leaf and it is getting south facing light. I don't know. What do I do about this? I really want a Philodendron Ghost that is ghosty and this one is not. Like some of these old leaves are retaining their minty color, but that's not what I want. I want one that spits out white leaves. How do I make it do that again? Actually, I never quite did it. They would come out like lime green, and now they just come out like plain green. I don't know. A bummer, honestly. But it's a beautiful plant, just not doing what it's supposed to be doing. But it's beautiful, you know? Can't hate it. Can't hate it. Below that, I have my little pitcher plant. It's doing okay. Some of the pitchers are drying up. It struggled. I know I sound like a broken record when I was on my trip, blah, blah, blah. It got too dry, it struggled. But it's putting out a little baby pitcher right there. That one's not dry. It's definitely not going to focus on it, but maybe that one will grow into a big pitcher. But yeah, it's looking lovely. And last on this section of my windowsill is my Philodendron Camposportuanum. This one, I trimmed it to put it on this moss pole. I trimmed it down to here, and it has already way outgrown the moss pole. It's gone just bananas already, so it already needs a new moss pole. This plant grows so fast. If you want a fast-growing Philodendron, Camposportuanum is the one. These are the more mature leaves. It hasn't given me super mature leaves here with the new foliage, but that's okay. It's growing so fast. It's growing so fast. And then moving up to the top of this windowsill over here on the left, I have my Hoya Kamingiana on a little trellis. I want to show it to you, but the backlighting is just absolute garbage. Like, I don't know how to show it to you. Maybe I'll bring it down, put it somewhere. There we go. That's better. Hoya Kamingiana. I trimmed this little guy a while ago because he grew a bunch of like stem. Ooh, that almost tipped right out of the pot. It grew a bunch of stem without any leaves, and so I trimmed it back. You can see kind of where I took that cut right there. Now it's grown back a bunch of leaves, so I love how that's looking. And then I have my Hoya latensis. Looking a little sunstressed, looking beautiful. It's got some peduncles. There's one right there. I am shaking, apologies. And one up here. Oh, and another one back here. It's got 3 peduncles. How fun. It just finished blooming. Hello. All right, it's focusing for like 2 seconds. Anyway, it just finished blooming, so it probably won't bloom again for a couple weeks, but yeah, it's looking lovely. And that is it for this section here, this little windowsill section. So that is all of the plants that I have here facing south. Give you a little recap. All my south plants. Now we'll move to the plants that are facing east. First, I have my Rhaphidophora decursiva. This plant, I know it's a slow grower, and I had a cutting. It was just this leaf for the longest time. And again, I know they're slow growers, but it was like a year and a half where it was just that leaf. And since I put it on the porch, it's put out 4 more leaves. So it's looking good. I have this little stake for it when it starts wanting to grow up, because I know that once they're staked, they're more likely to fenestrate. So yeah, that is that, and that is there. Next to that is my Philodendron gigas. This is like the love of my life plant right now. It's just looking so beautiful, so stunning. I had to pull it out of the cabinet because it was way too big, and so now it's on this plank, and it's just living its best life out here. Just absolutely living its best life. And to the left of that is my Hoya Bella. No peduncles yet, but that's okay. I've heard this one gets peduncles pretty easily, but I haven't gotten any yet, but that's okay. It's been growing a ton, like a ton. Like this is very long. This was not this long. It was like maybe to there. It's grown a ton. We'll let it keep growing. Behind that, I have another Gloriosum. This one is in a hospital as well. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's definitely not pests. I looked at it for pests, so that's why it's not in the other hospital with my other Gloriosum. It's just hanging out back here in its own little hospital. And here's another new one to the channel. This one I have not introduced yet, but this is my Anthurium moroquianum, or Queen Anthurium. If you've seen my wishlist videos, you know this has been on my wishlist for probably 2 or 3 years now, so very exciting. It's got 3 leaves. It's a little crunchy, a little crispy. I just don't think that you can have a Queen Anthurium without a little crunch or a little crisp. Unless you can grow it in like greenhouse conditions. It's gonna be a little crunchy, it's gonna be a little curly, but that's okay. It's still beautiful. And look at this. We're getting a new leaf, y'all. Look at that. New leaf, y'all. So that is very exciting, because these are super slow growers. So I'm very excited for it to put a new leaf out in my conditions, like my growth conditions, because it will likely be more hardy. And to the left here is my variegated burl marks. Doing great, doing fantastic. Oh, putting out a new leaf over here. It's looking good. It's just such a beautiful plant. Like, look at this leaf. This little corner over here of this leaf just amazes me. I don't know why. This whole leaf, oh, just beautiful. Whole plant, honestly. It is a lovely plant. Then we have this massive bird of paradise. Look at that big leaf it put out. It is just absolutely massive. It's doing so great. I got this as a little baby, and now it's so big. It's not a baby anymore. And the last plant is my syngonium elbow. This one was not doing well for a really long time. I don't remember if I shared that with y'all or not, but it is doing so well. It's put out like 3 new leaves. It's putting out this other new one. It's like gonna be mostly white, and I'm actually kind of excited about it. And yeah, it's looking really good. It's killing off one of its older leaves, but that's okay. But it's looking really, really good. I'm very excited about this one. And that's it. That's all my plants on this porch. That's all of them. That's gonna be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.